Welcome back to the Stretch the Floor podcast. I'm Matthew, and I'm here as always with Venushan. And we're recording a day later today because we wanted to wait for all the game sevens, all the second round to finish up. I'm glad we did that because there's a lot of Ben Simmons stuff to talk about, a lot of Sixer stuff to talk about. Let's we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that in a bit. We're gonna talk about the actual conference finals first, give our finals or our conference finals takes, all that stuff, and then get into the Kemba trade, all the Ben Simmons trade talk that's gonna be heating up that we predicted and hoped would happen. This offseason is looking like it's going to get a lot more interesting. So we're going to get into that all in a bit. But first, let's start with the end of the second round. I guess we'll start with the first game 7, which was Bucks Nets, which saw Kevin Durant playing another full 48 minutes, played all of overtime, 53 minutes. Could have won the game, did win the game, hit a shot good enough to win the game, but his foot was about like a half inch on the line. And his foot's just a little bit too long. Net season is over. Bucks suddenly look pretty good. Coach Bud probably saved his job, and they're in the conference finals.
Not only did Coach Bud save his job, he got to the point where even we have to give him praise because whenever a coach wins a championship, he deserves praise, and he's going to win a championship. He's the odds-on favorite. He's both of our favorites. He's going to win a championship. He did lose a starter. Like, Dante DiVincenzo is hurt and done for the whole playoffs, so it's not like they had any. Like, they had some controversy and a little bit of tough times to get through, which they did get through. Man, like Giannis, it seems like he's going to get his first ring. That game, Giannis played amazing. Chris Middleton came up in the fourth quarter, like the last minute of the fourth quarter, and like the overtime, he was pretty decent. Drew Holiday, obviously wasn't that good, but hit a clutch shot here and there.
Yep.
That's all that matters, really, right? Because it was a one-on-one game till the end where Giannis's teammates came through. James Harden was doing as much as he could on one leg, getting to the free throw line, getting decent shots, getting decent opportunities. He clearly just his shot wasn't falling because he had one leg. But man, they battled through a lot. The Nets, even with all these injuries, make it to 7. That's a good thing for them. They're going to be favorites next year. Even if they do nothing to the roster, literally nothing, they're going to be favorites next year. So it's an interesting team. It's an interesting series. It's Bucks series to win. Bucks championship to win.
Yeah, and the Nets take it to 7, not only with their injuries, but like literally if Joe Harris doesn't play like a high school level player in that series, he hits one more shot in game 7, they win that. They'll win the whole series with basically just Kevin Durant because James Harden was like maybe 60%, maybe 70% in game 7. He just didn't even look anywhere near himself. But yeah, you're right. We have to give a lot of credit to Giannis because he
stepped up.
Really stepped up, put up a huge line in game 7, played 49 minutes or something like that. Missed a bunch of free throws like he always does in the playoffs, but did hit a couple of clutch ones and like he needed to hit those or else, they lose because they only won. It was tied, obviously, going to overtime. But Middleton stepped up a little bit and Drew Holiday hit a couple of big shots near the end. And if he doesn't do that, the Bucks probably lose the series. And we're talking about Kevin Durant in the conference finals.
And like I've always been saying, and like Shaq himself has always been saying, Giannis has to shoot like Shaq. So that means it's at least 50%.
Yeah.
Like when he shoots under 50% from the free throw line is when it's kind of wraps. This game, he shot 8 for 14, better than 50%, and that's all they needed to win. Like Shaq is right. He's like, hey, you shoot this like 7% is what he shot. You shoot this 50%, 57%, your team has a chance to win. You could get a lot of points, a lot of rebounds, impact the game, be a help defender like I was, and you could still win championships. I'm proof of that. I have won 4. That's what you got to do. And, like those like Raptors series and stuff, he was shooting like worse than 40%, right? So he's making slight improvements. Obviously, it's not the greatest, 57%, but it's enough to win. And going into this next series against the Hawks, they're the overwhelming favorite. And going into the finals, potentially most likely against the Suns, they're going to be favorites. Obviously not as overwhelming, but they're going to be favorites. And Giannis's first string can actually be on its way.
Yeah, and this championship might just come down to who's the healthiest because out of all the teams, I mean, the Hawks are pretty healthy. Trae Young, there might be something going on with his shoulder there. His shots looked a little different to me. He hasn't got that heating pad thing on between when he's resting, but the Bucks are the healthiest team left, and I think they're actually like minus 500 or minus 200 favorites to win the championship, which seems right to me. I think we're both going to pick them in the next series.
Yeah.
Let's talk about who they're going to be playing. The Hawks win Game 7 against the Sixers. And the only thing anyone's ever talking about today is Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons puts up 5 points in Game 7. He averaged single-digit points, I think, or close to single-digit points
Yeah.
in the series. Great defender, but we've seen it time and time again when it comes to the playoffs, half-court offense, Ben Simmons just it doesn't bring you anything.
Ben Simmons went from being LeBron James without a jump shot to Tony Allen that passes well. Like that's what happened to him. He went from LeBron James without a jump shot, where it's if you develop this jump shot, you're gonna be the next like guy. You know what I mean? You're gonna be the next Magic Johnson, LeBron James, 6'10" guy who could dribble, attack the rim, pass, gets his teammates involved, and be that guy. To a guy that's an elite level defender who could pass pretty good. He's Tony Allen with better passing, and Tony Allen couldn't win a championship too with those Memphis days because Marcus All was getting doubled, Zach Randolph was getting doubled, Mike Conley was getting doubled because their defender just used to leave Tony Allen wide open, and that's what's happening to Ben Simmons. Like they just leave him open because literally obviously the famous play, Ben Simmons under the rim, literally could just went up for a reverse dunk, but Trae Young just literally ran at him like this, like not even anywhere near him, just put his hand up towards him, and Ben Simmons just threw the ball to Matisse Thybulle, and Matisse Thybulle obviously missed one of the free throws. Joel Embiid said that was the play that he felt switched the whole change of the game, and like he felt someone pass. He said someone. Obviously, we could obviously saw the game, and we know it's Ben Simmons. So this seems like there's a little bit of friction there. Doc Rivers, when asked, is Ben Simmons a championship level point guard? He said, I don't know. So that's not really backing a good guy. So that's a little iffy too. And as all the hate that these Sixers are receiving, we got to give the Hawks their praise too.
Yeah.
Because they're missing DeAndre Hunter. They're missing Cam Reddish. Bogdanovich is not 100%. Trae Young's not 100%. They've never been 100% throughout the whole playoffs too. So throughout the whole regular season. So it's not like they have the greatest chemistry. And they're in the conference finals. Even if they get swept, this is an amazing, amazing season.
Yeah.
And Trae Young's name is up there with Luka Doncic. It has to be, as the new face of the young face of the leagues. He's the East face, Luka, Zion out west, Trae, Tatum out east. And man, they're just gonna keep the score together, let everyone heal up after they get swept by the Bucks, and come back next year as strong as they are.
Yeah, I mean, like you're right. Even if they do get swept, Bogdanovich played last game, 21 minutes, didn't play in the fourth quarter, didn't really do anything. Trae Young, terrible, or at least through 3 quarters, didn't
First
put up good
quarters,
numbers. And it's clear that it has something to do with that shoulder injury. Like you said, Hunter not there. Kevin Huerter stepped up. That was an amazing game by Kevin Huerter. And it seemed like the Sixers kind of just came down to Seth Curry being their second best player. And Tobias Harris scored a lot, but was inefficient from the floor. Like, other than Ben Simmons, what do you think was the reason? Do you think if Embiid was good this series, really good this series, but do you think if he was 15% better because of that knee, they would have won?
That's hard to say because Embiid was amazing. And so was Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris was amazing. He was amazing in his role. It was not a playmaking role.
Yeah.
He scores for himself. He scored at a 50% clip. He scored 20 points, 18 points for the series. So he did his thing this series, 18 points at 50%. That's what I want from Tobias Harris. It's obviously the second star. No one thinks Tobias Harris is a second star on a championship team. He's a third star. And the second star, Ben Simmons, went from averaging 15 and 10 assists to averaging 5 and 6 assists, right? He had a huge fall off. Seth Curry tried his hardest to step up. Man, this guy's making only $8 million and he was playing like he was worth 20 million. He was going off. He played well. He was playmaking. He was doing the best he could because the second star just didn't want the ball in his hand. But yeah, this Sixers team, this is it in my opinion. We're going to see huge changes, huge blow-ups, and completely new team next season.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you look at their team, Embiid is an amazing two-way player, obviously. Tobias Harris isn't the greatest defender, but he's not a complete liability on defense. But then past that, Thybulle does nothing offensively. Ben Simmons in the playoffs does nothing. Seth Curry's all offense and no defense. So it's hard to get 5 guys out on the floor that you can kind of rely on both sides.
Yeah. So what would you want the Sixers to do besides trade Simmons? What are some names that you would want to hear back from?
Simmons, I think you need to, if you can somehow like talk Portland into taking him, even like
Yeah,
Dame obviously is out there. That's probably not happening. Like, would you even would you
no.
do like Simmons for CJ and a bunch of stuff? Do you think?
Yeah, that's what the reports are. CJ is what the execs say is considered a fair trade.
Yeah,
Obviously, before like come trade deadline, he was a kind of
James
equivalent
Harden.
to like James Harden, and names similar to James Harden, Bradley Beal,
Yeah,
Damian Lillard were like, oh, since James Harden's gone, now maybe Ben Simmons gets shipped out for one of those two guys. But his
yeah.
stock has crashed so hard that it's like it's now in the range of like CJ McCollum, uh, D'Angelo Russell. That's another name that we've been hearing.
Wow.
Kemba Walker, maybe. So those are the names that we're hearing, not those top tier names of Dame and Beal anymore.
Yeah, it seems like the options are Portland for CJ, maybe. I think Cleveland might be a decent option for Colin Sexton,
Sexton,
maybe Garland.
yeah,
You got Kevin Love's big contract to make that happen.
match,
And then
yeah,
Sabonis and Brogdon on Indiana is a possibility. OKC you mentioned, like I don't know why you would want Kemba back because he's like
yeah.
never healthy. But a three-way trade, maybe with getting Beal involved or something like that, that'd be real interesting. Having Shea and Ben Simmons on the same team would be pretty cool, I think. But the options are pretty limited. Do you like if you had to bet right now? Do you think he's on the Sixers when the season starts next year?
I think he is. I think Daryl Morey is going to try his hardest to get those two guys,
Mm,
Beal and Damian Lillard. I think both of those teams are going to be tentative to move them. So I think he's just going to bet on the Wizards having a disappointing start to the season again. And if they do have a
mm.
disappointing start to the season, if they can't, get a DeMar DeRozan, if they can't trade for Jeremy Grant, if they can't get those type of guys in, and it's just this no defenders alongside Bradley Beal, they have a disappointing start to the season. Hey, Ben Simmons is averaging 16 points again. He's getting 10 assists and 8 rebounds. He's almost a triple double machine.
Yeah.
Like you could start presenting him like that again. Then you just attach the picks, get that deal to happen. And I think Daryl Morey's going to stay with Ben Simmons till his value goes up. Why trade him at the all time low, right?
Yeah, exactly. This is the absolute worst time to be trading him. At least
Yeah,
give it a few months at least. Let him because he
yeah,
looks good in the regular season. He was our defensive player of the year. Like that alone is
yeah,
enough to make him more a near max. Like Rudy Gobert's on a max.
yeah.
We'll get into him in a little bit, but I think you'll be able to find someone who thinks that they can basically just turn him to baby Giannis, just surround him with shooters, basically play him at center, and
Yeah,
get him driving into like open lanes and stuff like that. I think you'll be able to find someone.
and that's why these teams have been mentioned, like the Timberwolves and the Pacers. The reason they're mentioned is because Miles Turner is such a good 3-point shooter, and Karl-Anthony Towns is such a good 3-point shooter. Is that
Yeah,
even though they're centers, they have provide enough spacing where Ben Simmons is kind of like the only non-shooter on the court. So those are the type of centers that are going to be best aside Ben Simmons because Embiid's a good center, a good 3-point shooting center, but he's not elite. And you need an
yeah,
elite 3-point shooting center and not
yeah,
alongside Ben Simmons.
yeah, yeah. So we'll get into. I guess that kind of covers it for the Sixers offseason, right?
Sixers, yeah.
That's pretty much it. So we'll go into the West. We'll go into. Okay, first we got to talk about the end of
Well,
Utah.
we'll
Wait,
talk about
oh,
the
we're
conference finals. Who
okay.
do you
Yeah, we'll do.
predict?
Yeah. Okay, we'll do the conference finals predictions first. Okay, so we got Bucks, Hawks. I think we're both going Bucks.
Yeah.
I'll go Bucks in 6.
Oh wow, you are giving Trey Young a lot of credit. I'm going Bucks in a sweep, man.
Really?
I think it's gonna be I think Drew Holiday is gonna be a much harder matchup than Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
Just because Drew Holiday just works on those smaller guys. We've
Yeah.
seen like Kyle Lowry do decent against Ben Simmons. We've seen those small guys do decent against Ben Simmons. He's kind of a small forward defender and a great help defender. Yeah, but Drew Holiday is just the guy you want on small guys like Kyrie Irving and stuff. You just want Drew Holiday, and Trey's just not like we see in his shoulder, man. He's
Yeah.
kind of it wasn't anywhere near like 100%, and 60% Trey is getting swept up. Like he's too important for this team.
I just don't have too much faith in the Bucks like in the half court offense. We saw them it looked better in game 7. I think Giannis figured something out against Blake Griffin, but they kind of struggled a lot. Like the reason they won that series I think is cuz obviously it was only Kevin Durant and they were able to play some pretty good defense and limit their scoring. Like if it came down to bucket for bucket, they were losing that game every time. And I don't know if they can keep up offensively with the Hawks. Now, Blake Griffin actually did a really good job on Giannis. They don't have a Blake Griffin. They don't have a Kevin Durant level defender. They have Clint Capella.
Yeah,
they're going to be playing a lot of Gallinari. They're going to be playing a lot of John Collins. Now maybe Giannis just has a field day against those guys. If he does, and then Trey's at 60, I can definitely see a sweep. I think one game. I think you have to give them one game. I think they just okay. If Bogdanovic isn't
They
healthy,
earned it,
then
right?
they're getting swept.
Yeah.
But like if they're fully healthy at some point, I think you have to give them one game because they're just that explosive offensively.
Yeah, I Bogdanovic's knee, just the way he was just avoiding shots. Trae Young just a little passive until the fourth quarter as well. John Collins not being able to get his offense at all this playoffs is also a little worrying. He's been a good defender though. I gotta give him credit for that. He's turned into a two-way player,
Yeah.
which is surprising. But I guess it's all in effort, right? So that's surprising. That's a good thing because he's the one that's gonna be on Giannis. Clint Capella's not been able to get his offense rolling too. So man, it's tough. This team is so offensive oriented, the Hawks. Like I think it's just gonna be tough because you don't have a Kevin Durant who you just throw the ball to and be like, all right, screw the whole Bucks scheme of offense. He's just gonna get us 2 points, right? So I think it's gonna be a sweep.
Well, we like the Sixers are. I think they're a pretty decent team to compare defensively to Milwaukee because Embiid, Giannis, both amazing rim protectors. Even Brook Lopez, good rim protector there. Ben Simmons are really good. Obviously, just defender all around. Yeah, Drew Holiday, really good perimeter defender. They're going to be going up against a lot of size like they did in the second round, and they were able to score right now. If we're talking health, if Trae Young's not going to be not as explosive and not as effective shooting the ball as he can be, and if Bogdanovic's knee is all messed up, then yeah, obviously, the Bucks are probably sweeping. But I don't know. I'm just going to give them at least one and maybe two because I don't have a ton of faith in the Bucks offensively right now.
Yeah, I just don't see the mental lapses that the Sixers had with those huge blown game leads. And people are going to just be like, oh, they blew a lead against the Nets. And it's Kevin Durant. Like, there's a big difference between blowing a team, like blowing a lead to a team, because that means like your whole team is blowing it and, you know, like their whole team is rolling and it's like, oh, what happens with steals versus it's just, man, Kevin Durant's just scoring every single possession and we just can't seem to score, right? Like, it's two different type of blown leads. And man, I think people are underrating how good Kevin Durant was to push this to a 7-game series. Like this Bucks team is amazing, and I think they're going to show it because they sweep the Miami Heat. Remember?
Yeah,
and that's a good team. I think it's going to be another sweep.
Yeah, we were all predicting Bucks or Bucks and maybe 6, maybe 7, maybe in Miami, and they swept. And I don't think you can blame them at all for that Kevin Durant game where he played 48 minutes and
50 points,
40-something point triple-double. That was just Kevin Durant. Like, no matter what you did, no matter who you threw at him, he was going to score.
Crazy.
Trae Young's good, but Trae Young is not that good, right? So,
he's not 7 foot.
He's not a 7-footer who can dribble, pass, and shoot like Steph Curry. So, Bucks are definitely going to win. I think unless there's they've been able to stay healthy. Giannis is, I think it's underrated just how durable he is. He's never injured. Knock on wood. Drew Holiday.
Knock on wood.
Drew Holiday sucked offensively in that series, but hopefully he's able to step it up. Being guarded by probably Trae Young, maybe.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Easy assignment for him.
It's going to be tough. Okay, let's move on to another epic collapse. The Jazz and Clippers game 6. The Jazz were up 2-0. We both said we're not counting Kawhi out. We said they might even win this with Mitchell's injury. We didn't know Kawhi was going to get injured maybe for the rest of the playoffs. But Paul George plays amazing. Terrence Mann suddenly looks like a star. And in Raptors fashion, when Kawhi was down 2-0 to Milwaukee, they came back and won 4 straight and are now in the conference finals. Already lost game 1 to the Suns, so I guess predicting it isn't really fair. But I don't know, just thoughts on the Jazz and how that series ended and everything.
It's tough. It's tough for the Jazz because Rudy Gobert got attacked again, and we were praising him so much the first 2 games. Oh man, he's finally not getting exposed in the playoffs. He's finally he's got that quickness, like that DeAndre Ayton is showing. You know, that switchability, that quickness. He got the game-winning block in game 1. We're like, let's go, Rudy Gobert is a 3 times defensive player of the year, and he's worth the money. You know what I mean? And then he got exposed 4 straight games. Pick and roll, pick and roll, pick and roll, pick and roll, 3-point shots, 3-point shots, 3-point shots. And I guess that's a recipe to beat the Jazz for the next 10 years. Do pick and rolls, and if you hit your 3-point shots, you're going to beat them. If you don't hit your 3-point shots from the pick and rolls, you're going to lose. And I don't know how they fix it because Rudy Gobert is going to be on your team because since he's your second best player, and he can't really work on it too because it's foot speed. Like I don't know how you work on foot speed when you're like in your 28s. You know what I mean? It's not like he's a 22-year-old who could improve that.
Yeah, well, the thing is, he looked so good through the first like 2 games when they were up 2-0.
Yeah.
We're like, he is, like you said, he's not getting exposed. But then the Clippers just went straight a small lineup: Batum, Paul George. Even without Kawhi, it was Terrence Mann. Reggie Jackson has been amazing. They don't play center. Like they played Cousins a little bit in the Suns game, but they didn't play him hardly at all in the Jazz series. And even with those limitations, if he could just score 15 a game, like the Jazz might, like they probably don't blow that 25-point lead, right? So say what you want about him defensively, he's going to get exposed at certain points defensively. I think he still brings enough value as a rim protector that if he could score 15 and just actually be like a pick and roll weapon and stuff like that, like maybe we're talking about the Jazz in the conference finals. Now, Mitchell was not 100%. I think he was like 85% maybe. He still put up good numbers, but Clippers lost Kawhi, so you can't use that as an excuse.
And I think we have to also give Gobert the excuse of Conley because Conley used to just feed him so much of those easy, like inside scoop, like dunks, easy, like perfect throwing passes and all that stuff. And losing that playmaker was a big loss. And losing, obviously, like 30% of Donovan Mitchell was a big loss too.
Yeah.
So you keep the score together, you see how they roll. But this was really your best chance to win a championship. And I think you're going to look back at this team 5 years from now, maybe when Donovan Mitchell asks for a trade or if Donovan Mitchell leaves in free agency. Hopefully neither. Or maybe when Rudy Gobert gets traded, we don't know what happens in 5 years. But we're going to look back 5 years from now and see, this duo could have won a championship of Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. Because we also, there's just golden opportunities, right? Like the 2-year Michael Jordan retirement, that was a golden opportunity.
Yeah.
And if the Utah Jazz made the finals then, they would have won a championship. Obviously, they couldn't in the finals after when Jordan returned and lost. So, yeah, it kind of sucks. Yeah, it kind of sucks. This was their opportunity.
Yeah, it does feel like this was their window, playing against a super depleted Clippers team, obviously without Kawhi Leonard. And then against the Suns team that was going to be without Chris Paul, at least looks in like at least the first 2 games, and then going up against either the Bucks, where I think Gobert can actually play against the Bucks because right. This seems like this was their opportunity. But that being said, I don't think you can really do anything to shake it up too much. Like you're not going to trade Gobert because you just signed him, and I don't really see anyone who would take him. Mitchell, you can't just gut the team because then he's going to leave. You kind of have to run it back with these guys, and you could, like, they're going to be a top 4 or 5 seed with this team. And we're going to see them keep getting exposed time and time again in the playoffs. Now, maybe they get a lucky injury break again and go a little farther, but I don't think you're going to get any luckier than Kawhi Leonard basically destroying his knee.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, not having to play Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving, and Steph Curry, like avoiding all those big names. And then Kawhi Leonard, the guy you have to play getting injured. Like, this was your chance. And it sucks. You have to run it back because there's obviously enough questions where it's like, man, what if Conley was healthy? What if Mitchell was healthy? You have to give the score one more year at least, 2 more years where they get an opportunity to play. Hopefully Conley does resign. I think he will resign. You have to run it back, but it's just a little sad.
Yeah, and other than like maybe just like a shutdown perimeter defender, Royce O'Neal's a pretty good defender. Like I don't really see one major need that this team needs, right? They have a backup center, and like they have 7-8 guys that can really play. Now maybe like you could say Mitchell takes that step forward, and he's that 30-point scorer that he is in the playoffs, and he is that in the regular season. And if he doesn't get hurt, he probably is good enough to put the Clippers away. So you could always use that as an excuse. But overall, I think their window probably is running out.
Yeah, it's just sad. There's nothing else to say. You run it back, you kind of look sad about this season, but you use it for fuel. The Spurs were saying the same thing back in 2013 when they first lost to the Heat. We're like, oh man, this was your year, like blah, 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 blah. Guess what? They came back next year with the exact same core, had better ball movement, and won. So use the Spurs as your like influence, try to be like them. Just run it back, have better ball movement, and win.
Yeah. So like I said, we already saw the first game of the series. The Suns, Devin Booker put a 40-point triple double, and they needed
Triple
every
double.
single one of those stats because they only won by 6. That was without Chris Paul, without Kawhi Leonard, obviously. Now, I'm not going to pretend to know when either of those guys are coming back, but do you have a prediction for this series? Do you like just how do you see this going?
I think CP3 is going to be back game 3, and I think Kawhi is done for a year. I think it is an ACL, like probably strain, like really bad strain. We know he's trying to come back. Reggie Jackson said in interviews he's back at home trying as hard as he can.
Yeah.
But with no Kawhi, his team becomes a lot less dynamic. You know what I mean? You lose another 25-point scorer. I don't think you lose your best defender. You can run a lot less dynamic. And Terrence Mann, amazing as he is, good spot-up shooter, he's just not a creator. And now you just look up PG, and he played amazing last game. He played amazing game 1, and they lost. So like he's gonna have to play amazing every single game of the series, and then someone else is gonna have to play amazing every game of the series. So I just don't see it happening. But I am gonna give them games. I think they could win the next game without CP3.
Yep.
And I think they're gonna win one game with CP3, and I think it's gonna be in 6. Suns in 6. We also have to give Suns the credit winning 8 straight playoff games.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they lost the first one against the Lakers, won 4 straight, then swept the Nuggets, so they won 8 straight. Actually, they won right now, so obviously 8 straight. And yeah, they're on their way to championship. Suns are 3 games away from a championship. Crazy to say.
It's crazy to say. I think Suns in 6 is bang on. I'm just predicting Kawhi to be out for the rest of the series, but I do think they will get game 2. And when Chris Paul comes back, maybe who knows where his conditioning is going to be. Like, we don't know if he was asymptomatic or whatever, but he seems like he is going to be coming back, and they will win the series with him. This actually might have been good for him to let that shoulder trap, whatever neck thing heal up. But yeah, I think maybe even one game with him back, I'll give them. But without Kawhi Leonard, it's just not happening. You're not going to get 40 points from Terrence Mann again. You might, but you can't count on it. And
you can't count on it.
Paul George has been kind of like responding to the haters. He carried them to a series win against Utah. He did everything he could in game 1. And I don't know, maybe we feel a little better about Paul George after this series, even if they lose.
Yeah, you definitely can't like blame this on Paul George. I don't think anyone's expecting the Clippers to win anymore. I think the favorite final matchup right now is the Suns versus the Bucks. And man, if the Clippers win, amazing for them. They've already done more than what we expected without Kawhi. They won. They closed out a series and had a nice competitive game 1 conference finals. So they're beating our expectations. But for them, it's just about weathering the storm, win as much games as you can, re-sign Kawhi, and then go for it from there.
Yeah, you got Kawhi and Paul George. Like, you're going to be
a contender.
A contender. You're going to be in everyone's at least second round predictions every year. Probably even conference finals with like a healthy Kawhi. But when was the last time we saw that? But yeah, I agree. There isn't really much else to say about the Clippers. We were talking about maybe looking for a point guard or for Westbrook. I don't think they're that desperate anymore for that. I think I don't know if they bring back Jackson. He's probably going to be demanding a little more money on the market, but I don't know. There's a little tweaks you can make around here and there. Maybe get a little bit better for center. Ibaka, like with Ibaka, maybe this looks a little different, easier. Like a healthy Ibaka. But I don't know. I don't think they need to do too much in the offseason.
And obviously, Kawhi is really fond of Kyle Lowry. We know that as Raptors fans, he wants to bring kind of that leadership back on the floor. Obviously, going to probably look for a sign and trade. Maybe like Morris, maybe Patrick Beverley. That's $30 million right there.
Mm-hmm.
Or if we don't want Patrick Beverley, Luke Kennard, that's $12 million plus Morris is 16. That's $28 million right there. So yeah, they're going to be in a lot of conversations. Kawhi's going to want this team to do big moves, like the Kyle Lowry.
Mm-hmm.
The Russell Westbrook one is just like fan made. We have no intention if that's going to go through or not. But yeah, Kyle Lowry is going to be another name that the Clippers are going to go heavy for. And yeah, it's just you had a good season. It sucks that it ended with injury. Yeah. Almost like 9 out of the teams are saying that. The Nuggets are saying that. The Lakers are saying that. And the Nets are saying that. So is what it is. You got to just heal up this season. Weird season.
And the Nets, it was clear that with even 2 of the 3 guys,
they're going to win it.
They were going to beat the Bucks and they were going to win the championship. Sucks that that it didn't happen, but
Yeah,
I don't think it takes too much away from the Bucks because, like, let's say they come out and they just sweep Atlanta, they look really good, and then they
yeah.
go up against the fully healthy 2 seed Phoenix Suns in the finals with Chris Paul, with Devin Booker. Like, that it's not what was probably supposed to happen, but it's still a really respectable championship, I think.
Injuries are part of the game.
Yeah.
You can only play who's in front of you. It's not Giannis's fault. He can't save. Kyrie Irving. People which said that was a dirty play. I don't think it was.
No,
I think
no.
it was just a natural play in the game. It accidentally happened. He can't save those guys who got injured. It is what it is. It's kind of sad to see the Western Conference. They still have a chance. We said in 6. We didn't say they were getting completely stomped. So it's still going to be a good series. I think it's going to be better than the East series. You think they're both going 6, so you think they're both going to be decent series. But the finals is definitely going to be interesting with the Suns and Bucks.
Yeah, and Giannis getting his first chip. It 2 games into the Nets series, it didn't look like that was going to be even a thing this year, but it's going to be nice, Giannis getting that first chip early at 26. He still has obviously a lot of room to grow, but even if they win, like the Bucks have a lot of issues I think that we all see, especially like in the coaching area, but you can't do anything if they win.
Yeah, and Giannis is going to have 2 MVPs, 1 Defensive Player of the Year, 1 championship, 1 Finals MVP, 1 All-Star MVP. That's a really good resume at 26 years old. So,
Yeah.
like, this GOAT conversation, man. Like, if he gets a couple of more of these things rolling, he could be in that top 10 player conversations.
Yeah. And I will say that I like, as bad as Giannis' shot looks, as many shots as he misses, I do
He
think he
shoots them.
will. He shoots them, and we know he practices them, and he says they
Yeah.
go in. They say they go in and practice. I think we will see him become like a 60% free throw shooter, like in clutch moments in the playoffs. I think we'll see him hit a few more threes, a few more mid range shots. Like how many players in their 30s become way better shooters? Like look at a guy like Derrick Rose become like a way better shooter into his 30s. It's harder for a big man like Giannis, but I do think we will see it.
Well, the thing with Giannis is he was when he was like this no-name kid, he was shooting 70% from the line.
Yeah.
So my question is, say if this whole first championship stress is off Giannis' shoulders now, can he get back to that 75, 78% percentage that he was shooting
Yep.
when he was just a developing player? And what he says he shoots in practice, if he gets back to that 80% and he gets that mid-range shot, which he says he shoots in practice and makes in practice more consistently, he adds this like 34% shot 3. Man, this guy's gonna be unstoppable,
Yeah.
and it's fun to see. It's fun to see.
And it's not like he has to be KD where like the 3 or the
Yeah,
jump shot is like his go-to thing. Just like you make the defense think, just think about it for a second when you have it out there and then just blow by them, make them pay. It would be a massive difference. And
yeah,
the thing is like Ben Simmons, he sucks at shooting free throws, he sucks at shooting anything. But like I don't know if he tries, I don't know if he cares that much. We know
yeah,
Giannis cares. We know Giannis is like in the gym the next day after elimination working on that jumper. So I think we will see it come together at some point.
yeah. The other thing also with Giannis is he's probably making the finals and can play Olympics, so it'll help. There's a lot of players like James Harden just committed, which he's getting a lot of like question marks from Brooklyn Nets fans because they just want him to. And Kevin Durant committed too, so those 2 players are getting a lot of question marks. Even Devin Booker committed. Someone also expected to make the finals.
Yep.
So yeah, this Devin Booker, Giannis, KD, James Harden, those guys' health is going to be a big issue for them with Olympics because we've seen guys like Steph Curry, LeBron James, Ben Simmons, Jokic all sit out because they just can't take the stress of games. So, man, yeah, injuries might not be an issue next season too.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit last time with the Olympics. I'm kind of shocked KD after that taxing series is committed to the Olympics. James Harden with his hamstring
What an
injury is already
injury! Yeah,
committed to the Olympics. It's really surprising me. I respect it. Don't get me wrong, but like Devin Booker already committed, and he might be going to the finals with
finals.
that
Yeah,
short turnaround. Like it seems like the shortened season, the condensed season this year with the Olympics and then the short off season, these injuries might like compound a little bit more and not we might not have a fresh clean slate next season.
yeah. Because like when the last time the Olympics were around, it was Raptors championship. Kyle Lowry tried to commit, and his shoulder needed surgery. His thumb, I
Yeah.
think, his thumb needed surgery.
Yeah.
Marcus Gasol did commit for Spain, and he was done. Like he was
Oh
nowhere
yeah.
near the same player. And yeah, so hopefully nothing big happens with that.
Yeah, the Marc Gasol, like he looked nowhere near washed up in the Raptors championship run, and then
Yeah,
he played for Spain, didn't have the recovery in the offseason, comes back and he looks 5 years older right the next year.
yeah,
So I mean, he's obviously already an older player, but let's hope that doesn't happen to any of these guys.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We don't want any of those injuries reacting up.
So the offseason is already starting to heat up a little bit. I don't think either of us knew that trades could even go through at this point. I don't even know if this trade is official yet, but Kemba Walker, like we said, like we wanted to happen, but we didn't think was actually going to be able to happen, got traded to Oklahoma City. First of all, what do you think of the trade? Do you think it's a win-win? How do you how do you uh, how do you see it on both sides? And do you think more is coming for the Celtics?
OKC's happy because they just got a pick. They got rid of Al Horford, who's someone they didn't play. Moses Brown, great young prospect,
Yeah,
but they obviously think the 16th pick is more valuable than him. Then they got Kemba Walker, someone who can definitely rebound his value. It's at an all-time low. They took a chance at him, and they could rebound it. If he has another 25, 24, 23-point season alongside a Shea, alongside a Dort, alongside a Baisley, alongside all those picks that they're going to add, then boom, Kemba Walker is a tradable asset that could get you
yeah,
more assets,
that's
right?
what it's
So
about.
it's kind of the recipe for the OKC. They're going to get their guys because they have so many picks in this draft. They're going to be able to trade to the spots they want. They're going to get their guys. They're going to be happy with their guys. And Sam Presti is one of the best GMs. We know this when it comes to trading. He just made one huge mistake in his career. That was trading James
Mm-hmm.
Harden. And he's made a million positive trades after that. But obviously, he can't make up for that trade. So he's still a great GM. He's trying to recover for that one mistake. He's doing a good job. I think OKC's future is bright. Shea and all these guys are bright. And I think it's a win for them side. For the Celtics side, it's cap flexibility.
Yeah.
I don't
What did
know.
they like
I don't know.
10 million or something? Because they brought
Yeah.
in Horford, who's like 26, and Kemba was like 36, 37. So it's like 10
Yeah.
mil, right?
Yeah. So you save cap flexibility. You can re-sign Evan Fournier. Uh, Al Horford just fits better with the
Yeah.
team. So you're playing for fit. Kemba Walker just couldn't guard anyone. You don't want him, I guess. And it is gonna sell low. I would have waited maybe a little bit into the draft, see if you could get a Ben Simmons if he's like completely like gone, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, it's so low. Is what it is. You got your guy Al Horford. You have to obviously make more trades because you have four centers. You have Al Horford starting. You have Robert Williams coming off the bench. You have Moses Brown, a good prospect, getting no minutes. And then you also have Tristan Thompson making $9 million. So Tristan Thompson's getting traded for someone. You also have a $9 million trade exception still from the
Mhm.
Gordon Hayward. So look for like a DeLon Wright type player, type contract to be on the Celtics very soon. So yeah, a lot of moves coming for the Celtics, and we really can't judge them any trade until we see their final team because it all seems like a domino effect.
Yeah.
They could get someone else, so we can't really judge them.
Yeah. This is the first of many, hopefully, trades for the Celtics because, like, it's less about getting Horford and less about even just like getting rid of Kemba as it is changing what that team kind of
Emick.
makeup is because Kemba did not fit on that team. Marcus Smart. If they do decide to keep Marcus Smart, he can maybe start at like he can start now for
Point
sure
guard.
and
Yeah.
guard the best point guard on the other team. Run everything through Jason Tatum. But yeah, more stuff is coming for the OKC side. I do like them getting Kemba because like as bad as his knee injury is, and as bad as little as he delivered on the Celtics, he's going from like Boston, which was supposed to be a top three East team, a team maybe
Yeah.
contending for the conference finals, with a lot of pressure on him, to like the least pressure you could possibly have in OKC. So
Yeah.
like I can totally see him, maybe taking a little bit of time off. OKC will be okay with losing some games. He takes some time off, rehabs that knee, comes back. He looks pretty good, averaging like 23, 24. And people are like, oh, yeah, Kemba Walker is actually okay when he's healthy. He becomes a tradable asset. And then maybe the Celtics regret it. And OKC just keeps getting more and more and more assets.
Yeah, and they can also give Kemba as much rest as he needs, right? Because
Yeah, exactly.
it could just be Kemba Walker, okay, play 2 games. All right, even though this game is like 2 days from now, you can sit this game out because we're probably not going to try to win this year. So yeah, he can rest as much as he wants, and they're going to have guys they want to play. Like they want to still get minutes with Theo Madeline. They still want to get
Mm-hmm.
Shea a couple point guard minutes. So they're going to be completely okay with resting Kemba. So Yeah, Kemba, just play this year out. He'll get moved next year. He won't be on here for 2 years.
Yeah,
So just try to play your value up as much as you can.
yeah. Because like the restrict like the he didn't have much time to rehab his knee, like to heal up his injuries when he was
Yeah,
on the Celtics, because they needed him to win games and needed him for playoff series. He doesn't need to show up for any game other than the ones he totally feels like playing for OKC, because they're totally okay losing games. They don't care. They'll go for the number one pick
yeah.
again. Um, and as much as they can rest him, the happier they'll be, because it'll help turn him into a bigger asset. Another thing I'm wondering is that, well, we have the draft lottery coming up tomorrow. The OKC got the 16th pick. They have their pick from this year. They might be getting, if it falls out of the top
Rockets.
four, the Houston pick.
Yeah.
Like, do you think there could be, like a package to move up in this draft, or do you think they're just going to keep drafting guys, hope they hit on some depth guys, and or like, what do you think the strategy is?
Well, we have to give him Pressy credit. He did package. So I think Poku was drafted with the 16th pick.
Yeah,
They get the 16th pick. I think he packaged like the 19th and 20th pick.
yeah, something
So
like that.
he does move up in the draft and get his guys. So I don't expect the Oklahoma City Thunder to have like 5 rookies. They're probably gonna have like 3 or 4 rookies. They're guys. And the question I'm just wondering is if they get like a Suggs, does Kemba Walker come off the bench?
Yeah.
Because we know Shea is gonna start at the 2.
Mm-hmm.
And if they get a Suggs, man, I think Kemba Walker might be off the bench.
I think he will, at least at the beginning. I think he has to, right? Because you
Yeah,
can't,
for
like,
sure.
their number one priority is not winning, and it's development of Suggs. I think the best option would be getting Mobley. I think you have an awesome perimeter guy in Shea. You get an
Yeah.
awesome center
Big
in
man.
Mobley. That's one of the best
Good
young
recipe.
cores going forward.
Yeah, and they still have Dort, which is a good defender. And they just have a good, nice team.
Yeah.
You just see who these guys could be good role players, who could be good bench players like a Clarkson, like a Ingles. Yeah, they just see a team roll out, and we could see these teams also trading for players too, like we said, Simmons as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is gonna be a huge offseason, a lot of trades. It's definitely gonna be interesting.
Yeah, and the thing with OKC is, like, yeah, all these picks they have, not all of them are super high or super exciting, but like, you just keep throwing stuff at the wall, see what sticks.
gonna
Like, you're
happen.
gonna get a couple of guys like a Terrence Mann who comes out and has like a 40-point game in the playoffs. You're gonna get a couple of guys like that, and suddenly you'll have a nice 3 or 4 or 5 man core that like is cheap and really good and really exciting.
Yeah, OG and Nobi wasn't a top pick. Pascal Siakam wasn't a top pick. Fred VanVleet wasn't undrafted. So that's the Raptors core right there, and it's a pretty good core. So you just need a couple high picks around guys like that, and you're back into contention.
Yeah, and anyone who can take pressure off Shea offensively, like, he had an awesome year offensively this year. Give him anyone who can do anything for him, and with like score, be a second or third option, and like, who knows how much better he can be. I think that pretty much covers it. We talked about both conference finals. We covered all the offseason stuff. We got the draft lottery tomorrow. Raptors have a 7% chance at the number 1 pick. So hoping,
all it takes.
That's all it takes. I think the Pelicans. What were the Pelicans when they won the Zion lottery? They were what odds?
Around the same spot, I think. Around the exact
right around the same spot. I think it's 30-something% chance for 8th. They have like something for 7th, like 20%, and then gets a little bit lower, but it's still like a almost 1 in 10 chance, 1 in 12 chance that they get that number 1 pick.
Yeah, and if we do get Cade, you have to wear 6 as your jersey number, because that's just the Toronto number.
Yeah,
they would be the most iconic. It would instantly sell out. Put him in the top 10 of jersey sales. It would be iconic. That's the number he has to wear.
Yeah. We got the lottery tomorrow. Then right after, we got game 2 of the Suns Jazz. So really exciting week of basketball coming up. And then we got the finals. Probably not next pod, but pod after that, we're going to be doing like finals talk, finals previews, and then who knows? Maybe Giannis is going to have one of the best 26-year-old resumes, maybe of all time. Yeah. Pretty crazy. But until then, thank you for listening to this one. Check us out in the meantime on Instagram at Stretch the Floor Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, STF Clips, for the best clips from the podcast. But most importantly, subscribe to the podcast feed, leave a review, leave a rating wherever you get your podcast. It all really helps. And like I said, we'll see you guys again next Sunday. And thank you for listening.